Hey guys, if you're shopping for knives and gear, make sure you check out the description of the video you're watching right now for links to some great online retailers. There's also individual links for knives that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here and welcome to, episode 85, I think. It'll be numbered correctly in the title, of The Knife Guy. If you are new to my channel or you just came out of some weird corner of the internet and you have no idea where you are or who I am, I'm a knife guy. Knife enthusiast, knife user, knife collector, knife enjoyer of many sorts. We are all knife guys and gals in this super weird and complicated EDC and folding knife and knife-related world in general. We all go down our own unique paths, but oftentimes those paths intersect and we experience a lot of the same stuff. What I like to do on this series is pick up knives that are either mine or some of my generous viewers and sort of flip them and, just mess around with them and talk and give you guys something to sit back and enjoy on this hopefully beautiful Sunday morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever it is that you are. And I discuss these things, if I didn't say that. I get lost in the opening sometimes because it's so long, right? For new people, this is very different than everything else that I do on my YouTube channel. This is the longest running series on the channel, and it's something I do every single Sunday. It's just thoughts of the week, essentially. That's what it is. It's not meant to be anything more than that. There's a consistency of what's out here on the table that is very aggressively disrupted by one knife. I'm sure you guys can work that out for yourself. I'm going to talk about something that it's literally just a thought that I had that I was like, ha, that's weird. All right, so we're going to turn that into 20 minutes like we usually do. Thanks so much to my generous patrons for supporting me right now. If you'd like to check me out on Patreon, there's of course a link down in the description. And please follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. All right, so what are we talking about today? All the knives on the table are mine except for the arch nemesis, which was loaned to me by Alex's Knife Box. Check him out on Instagram. Talked a lot about how this knife's kind of screwing up my world right now because I thought I was comfortable in, a certain area with knives. A lot of the consistency with these other knives are all between about $500 and $700, and that's where I found my comfort zone over the last decade of buying, selling, and trading. And then this knife comes along and just blew my whole world apart, and now I want something in a price range that far exceeds what I'm used to spending on knives, and it's really powerful, right? We had that scratching the itch episode yesterday, and this new rainbow mermaid knife that, if you guys have been around for a long time, you'll know that there was a long-running joke with the old Boker mermaid on this channel. This was sent to me by a viewer for Christmas, and I think it was just a nod to some of the earlier days on the channel. And there was a familiar warmth in that. It was a nice gesture. I really appreciate gifts and things like that from viewers. It's just awesome, right? This is not an expensive knife. It's not anything crazy. Nowhere near the same caliber as stuff like this. And honestly, I think the people who made this knife knew exactly what it was. This is meant to be more humorous than anything else. I couldn't imagine whoever made this was thinking, this is a serious, right? We're making this to be serious. No, I think they understand the humor in it, right? And why it appeals, ironically, stuff like this, exactly like this, appeals, ironically, to really serious knife collectors and knife enthusiasts. Case in point, the Boker Desert Warrior. It's spelled that way on purpose. There's a long-running joke about people not understanding the joke behind it, right? Have you guys seen that knife? I actually bought one and gave it away as a gift to a family member. But the Boker Kalashnikov, here, I'll get mine out, is a really good budget automatic knife. Where the heck is it? Oh, here it is. I bought one in green just because I think it's kind of interesting. But yeah, these are $40, $50, something like that. Nice, just kind of beater auto. And they're dependable, right? And all the ones in their line have been pretty serious, pretty like tactical, aggressive, right? And just a serious nature about them. Now, the tactical, aggressive stuff doesn't always translate into the really high-end and expensive part of the knife world like some of the knives you're seeing here. But there is a very serious nature in general about knives as they increase in price. We do have, exotic materials that are very colorful, like Damascus, Mokume. You've got your superconductor and your zirc and your exotic woods and your gold flake carbon fiber and blah, blah, blah. But it all has a pretty serious nature about it that is more or less pretty to any individual, right? There's like a seriousness because knife people, knife enthusiasts, we like to joke around, but as you hone your senses, I guess, right, you become a more serious enthusiast because you're putting a lot more thought into what you're buying and why you're buying it, what it is that you're interested in. You, at least internally, like outwardly, I joke around with people, right? I talk about my fragile ego and I kind of make things into a joke, right? Because it's not fun to listen to somebody talk who's obviously taking themselves really seriously. But internally, do I take my thought process seriously? Oh, you bet. Definitely. Yeah. Internally, in my own head, I'm like, I'm going to be very particular about every last little thing that I look for when I make a purchase and why, right? I'm not just joking around slapping the buy button on stuff like, this would be funny. Here's $800. Absolutely not. No. Right? Outwardly, because I like people to feel comfortable when they come to my channel, I like to make a joke out of a lot of stuff. But anyways, that's why I think a lot of times, knives like this in the upper end of the knife world become really popular because that's what people look for. That's the form that it takes, the serious form that it takes that's attracting a serious buyer wanting to spend money on this stuff. And then stuff like this makes us all laugh. And then in the case of the Boker, the donut sprinkle dessert warrior, I was like, I have to buy that. Why? Why did I have to buy that? What part of this, what part of my brain that I felt like has been so seriously tuned to be attracted by certain things when it comes to knives, right? Not just because it was cheap. When I look at budget knives, right? Like this QSP Penguin. Penguin or the Parrot? This is the Penguin. I always mix those up. Yeah, simple, straightforward, pretty serious look, right? I was attracted to this. $30, right? Obviously not made the same way as these. Not made out of the same materials, same tolerances, not the same manufacturing process at all. That's why it only costs $30. But it's attractive because it kind of has a simple, utilitarian, yet serious look to it. That's why I bought this. I didn't buy the Mermaid thing, but I did buy that Rainbow Mermaid knife a while back because I thought it was funny and I turned it into a joke on the channel. And I had an odd attraction to it because it was something that wasn't taking itself so seriously. By contrast, right? Heavy contrast, stuff that sticks out like a sore thumb. Now, obviously, there are companies making, like, whenever I see, like, the rainbow karambits and the rain, that's like a different, that's a knife that is taking itself seriously and suggesting that the rainbow coating is something special to basically an ignorant buyer. Somebody who looks at that and thinks, shiny, flashy, but also tactical and serious, it must have a purpose, right? And then they're attracted to it. No, this is, what I'm talking about is something that is so stuck out by contrast, so obviously not trying to be serious, that it's funny. Humor. That's why I purchased the Dessert Warrior. Because it made me, I don't know, it kind of felt good to be brought back down from the ultra serious part of the knife world to just enjoy something on a childlike level. Like, just be like, oh my gosh, this stupid little pink thing. The original design is obviously meant to be utilitarian and I guess tactical and pretty serious. The Boker Kalashnikov is an inexpensive knife, but it is certainly designed in a serious way, right? They consider ergonomics, they consider, the materials, the weight, the balance, right? The steel, in that price range, right? Cutting geometry, all of that. It's a serious design. And then they slap a ridiculous coat of paint on it. And it worked. So many people bought it because it was ridiculous. It worked so well that those things were popping up on eBay, and I'm sure they still are for $200, $250. Don't go buy them for that much money. Don't do that. That's silly. Don't do that. But it spoke to me in a way. I was like, holy crap, there's a market for this. It does. It actually pulls on our heartstrings a little bit to step back and enjoy something like that just for whatever, right? Don't get me wrong. I'll always love stuff like this, right? This is a serious knife meant for serious business. The Microtech Combat Troodon Hellhound Signature Series, right? Here are about you mean that you can almost hear the ad, right? It's like dun 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 dun, black car driving through the alley, and there's tanks and machine guns and fire, right? And there's a guy with a hood, and he's you can't quite see his face, and you just zoom in on his hand in his pocket, and it's dun 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 dun, dun, and it, yeah, you can hear that, right? I'm sure, like, the image that I'm painting in people's heads, like, I hope you guys are laughing. That was meant to be a joke. Yeah, it's funny. That's the nature of this. And I'm also attracted to it for that. Being able to identify what it is that makes me laugh about this, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool, man. US made auto. We've got a crazy, hand ground blade that's like this aggressive tanto. Tolerances are great, firing power is great, ergonomics are great, all that stuff. It is serious. It is a serious tool, right? It's almost too serious. I think that's the key factor here. I think a lot of, not everybody's attracted to the ultra serious. A lot of people are attracted to the minimalist or less aggressive looking knives, but aggressive looking, expensive, serious knives, I think make up the bulk of, well, at least from my perspective, right? Even the more toned down knives still have a very serious look about them, right? Knives take themselves seriously anywhere from the $100 mark and up. I think it starts to get exponentially more serious, right? So serious. So serious that knives like the Desert Warrior, they stick out so much. It's like a neon beacon shining above everybody's head, and everybody's pulled away from this, this kind of subdued, darker color scheme, like more aggressive looking either black or satin finished blades, or oftentimes monochromatic. I'm attracted to that monochromatic stuff, right? And this shining beacon, this shining rainbow beacon is like, look at me, I'm different and weird. And people are like, I want that because it's hilarious, right? Honestly, I kind of want to dip into this idea. And there's so many people, funny enough, it was so popular. There were people who were like offended by it. I remember reading on Instagram, people were like, that's so dumb. Ugh, stupid donut knife. I'm a serious knife person. How dare this exist? Bah! Like, what? Calm down. You just don't buy it, But I thought that was so funny. It's like, man, just appreciate it for what it is. It's a funny, I think it was almost inevitable that something like that at some point came out. And I realized that there's stuff like this floating around, and it's just funny. And every time I see it, I'm like, I kind of want to own that because it's ridiculous. Master's Collection. Oh, man, whoever made this had to know that it's just absurd. They're like, this is funny, right? Throw it together. People are going to get it, right? It's not a serious tool. It's just funny and ridiculous. Something that people, I almost feel like, and I'm not going to say like you have to go by this line of thinking. I think that every serious knife collector, knife enthusiast should own at least one stupid thing. One silly, ridiculous knife. Because it kind of acts as an anchor. Like, looking at this, it makes me realize, like, hey, you're not that cool. It's a reminder to me, if I keep this, it's a reminder, like, we were all kids once. We were all, had this, like, childlike fascination with stuff. And I also like things that are silly and not super serious because it helps balance things out for me, right, in all aspects of life. And it helps me. It helps keep me grounded and reminds me that, I guess, like the crazier the knives that I have in my collection, the more serious knives, my ego grows subconsciously, and I'm doing everything I can to just like, dude, just calm down. At the end of the day, it's just a knife, right? It brings you joy and happiness, and that's great, but don't let it translate into, like ultra preachy, serious content where it's just like, it's just too much, The one consistency, the one collective consistency with all of this, guys watching the channel, we all like knives, right? So I think it's fun. It's fun to have things balancing out the spectrum here like that. What is this on my table? It's fun that this stuff exists. I'm honestly rooting to see more weird stuff like this, right? This and this are two very, very different knives. Extremely, we have two polar opposites here, right? Very serious, very expensive, American made, right? Premium materials, monochromatic, rainbow nonsense that is inexpensive and hilarious, right? Nothing funny about this. This is the funniest thing I've ever seen. I kind of want to see more of this. It would be interesting to see I'm not saying this is going to happen, but can you imagine with me because of what happened with the Boker Desert Warrior? Let's say a chain of events, gets set in motion, and all of a sudden there's a micro trend that occurs in 2021 where, and maybe this is already taking place and I'm not even aware of it, but I can guarantee you some makers are thinking about it considering the ridiculous popularity of the Desert Warrior. Imagine all knife companies just like all the popular ones. Let's say we've got like the budget realm. We have Bestech, we have Civivi, we have CJRB, and then we, in the mid range we've got like Kershaw and what's another good mid range? Gosh, Kershaw. Maybe some of the lower end Kaisers, and we're talking about upper, going slightly more Spyderco Benchmade ZT, right, and we get into Riots and that area. Each one of those knife makers just makes one ridiculous, just stupid. Like it's a model that is a serious model, but they do a ridiculous version of it. I can see that working. I can see that becoming a thing where people intentionally collect all of the ridiculous model. I would buy stuff like that. I would think that was funny, and it just helps balance out the humor. Sometimes. I love the knife community. I think for the most part, people are laughy, jokey, and they communicate pretty well with each other. And they realize, that it's not, it's not too serious. But at the same time, people do get very serious with this stuff. And sometimes it's too much, right? Sometimes the marketing that I see for knives, and sometimes I see like the ads. I'm not going to throw any companies under the bus, but I've definitely seen some companies do some really cringy, like ultra serious stuff on Instagram and just when I go and look up like promos for certain brands, I'm like, oh God, come on, right? But it must be working, I honestly think it would be fantastic if companies just took a step back and just did something ridiculous. I think Cold Steel. The more I look at Cold Steel marketing, they have to know that they are at the same time appealing to people who take their products ultra seriously, and at the same time, they're also appealing to people who recognize the absolute absurdity. And I know Cold Steel is no longer, they've been sold, right? But their old ads and promos and stuff, they have to know that they're making some people laugh, and they have to be doing it intentionally, right? Initially I was like, oh, cringe, this is too much. But the more I look at it, I'm like, are they kind of trolling a little bit? And that's okay, right? I mean, people nowadays respond to that type of stuff. So, yeah, I think stuff like this is funny and awesome. And this is really rambling, and I'm going in a million different directions, right? But what's the message here? I don't know. Does there have to be a message? Don't take yourself too seriously. It's okay to laugh at yourself periodically. It's okay to take a step back and have something ridiculous in your collection just to keep you kind of anchored and grounded, right? I think that's totally okay. And to the people who get offended by, I can't get over that, man. Some of the comments I read on the dessert were, first off, people not understanding that it was spelled dessert intentionally, right? I mean, that should be. I don't understand how people didn't put that together. Pink donut sprinkles dessert, right? And then the people making the comments about, I don't know. Anyways, yeah, it's meant to be funny, right? It's not meant to be serious. Knives don't have to be 100% serious all the time, right? There's no law that says knives have to take a certain form, have to be used for specific things, have to be enjoyed for specific reasons, and nothing outside of that is acceptable. No! In fact, I would vote the exact opposite. I think you can enjoy knives for whatever reason you want. You can spend your money on whatever you want, and the more variations of things we have that are more or less serious, I think the better it is. I think that's healthy, and it's fun to just enjoy this stuff and enjoy it for the sake of enjoying it. Right? Does that make sense? Okay. We are at 20 minutes. Holy crap. I got really lost in that one. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to be pretty much it for this episode of The Knife Guy. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.